Walt Disney World, the #1 vacation destination in the world. An estimated average of 200,000 people inhabit the resort daily, with an unending variety of attractions. From shows to rides to behind-the-scenes tours, the Walt Disney World Resort offers a vast array of entertainment choices to its guests. Nonetheless, the popularity of the attractions results in queues, and Walt Disney World is continuously seeking ways to improve their guests' experience regarding waiting in line. Walt Disney World determines its capacity for rides or events by what they call a design day, which is based on the number of people that visit the park on a typical day in peak season. Demand for attraction varies on how new the attraction is, what time of year it is, and how popular an attraction is. For example, Space Mountain is an older attraction but remains one of the most popular in the Magic Kingdom. The Walt Disney World Resort's goal is to maximize customer satisfaction. As an indicator of customer satisfaction, Walt Disney World uses a number called rides per capita. Rides per capita means rides per person. This number is generated by comparing the number of people in the park to the number of people actually on the rides. If the rides per capita number is low, then people are spending more time in line than on rides or in attractions. Walt Disney World works to keep the rides per capita number high. Many years ago, Disney's Imagineering staff threw themselves into developing ways to reduce wait time, thereby increasing customer satisfaction.
The first phase in the early 70s, we focused on reducing the actual wait time that guests experience while riding our attractions. And we did that by adding additional attractions, which had the overall effect of reducing the average time that guests were spending in attractions. So that was very successful, but it was also a very costly way to go about impacting the wait time. The second phase was studying our guest behavior and understanding what their perception of wait time was. And we did that by studying a number of attractions and understanding that there were a number of factors that influenced guests' perception of how long they waited. And we actually did a comparison of what they perceived to be waiting versus what they actually waited. And we found there was a distinct difference in certain attractions in that measure. So we found that the more there was to entertain guests while they're in line or occupy their time, and the more that it was a comfortable environment, the less they actually perceived that they were waiting. And vice versa, the extent there was nothing happening and the environment wasn't very comfortable, their perceived wait was actually longer than the actual wait. So we realized we were onto something there, and that led to initiatives to add things into our queues, make our queues more entertaining, make them more comfortable, provide more air conditioning and cover, things like that, and it had a distinct impact on, again, the guest perception of how long they wait. The third phase was really the ultimate. We said, is there a way to really remove the need for guests to have to wait in line? And this led to our FastPass initiative in the late 1990s.
FastPass was the answer to the waiting problem.
FastPass is what we call a virtual queue system. Basically, the way it works is a guest walks up to an attraction, they take their ticket media, insert it into a kiosk, and they're issued a ticket that has a timestamp window on it. At that particular time when a guest walks up, if the wait time was 45 minutes, we increment that time window 45 minutes and then give them an hour window to come back to that attraction and basically be able to walk right on. So what it does is it gives that guest 45 minutes that they now have free to do other things. They can use it to go on other attractions, they can use it to go in our merchandise locations or our restaurants as 3 examples of what they could do. FastPass has turned out to be successful beyond our wildest expectations. When we researched this with guests, and the satisfaction levels that we've seen increase since we've added this has just been tremendous. It basically has given guests now more time to experience more attractions, so they're able in the same amount of time that they have in a day to be able to experience a significant percentage more attractions. So given that that's one of the key reasons that guests come to visit us, it's been very, very successful.
FastPass has had an unexpected impact on the park.
The biggest impact has been in how guests are distributed throughout our parks. If you can imagine, before we had a lot of people standing in lines at our major attractions. Now we've removed a large percentage of those guests from those lines, and now they're roaming about the park or going into our retail locations or our restaurants or other attractions. So it really has changed kind of the overall flow of the park.
FastPass was developed in-house by the Imagineering staff at Walt Disney World and tested in a pilot program at Disney's Animal Kingdom.
In the late 1990s, we set about to do a pilot test, and we chose the Animal Kingdom park, and we chose several attractions within that park to do a pilot test. And this was totally a manual system. And what we did is we selected a group of guests, and we offered this FastPass service to them, and we gave them a diary, and we asked them to track what they did throughout their day. And then we took a similar group of guests, but didn't offer that service to them, and again asked them to keep track of their time. And then we were able to measure over the course of a day a statistically significant sample of guests and compare the differences in behavior. And what we saw is a significant difference in percentage of guests who shopped in our retail locations, who dined in our restaurants, and the number of attractions that they experienced in the day. The most important measure was their overall satisfaction rating of their experience was, again, a significant difference. So based on that pilot, we were very encouraged, and we knew we had something that could be very successful in our hands, and it was a question of how quickly could we roll this out and what was the infrastructure we would need to be able to put in place to make it work. So from that manual test, we set about designing the kiosk locations and installing those, and in the first year we installed several attractions in all 4 of our parks here in Walt Disney World. Since then, it's expanded to our other parks around the world, and we've continued to add additional attractions each year here at Walt Disney World.
Although FastPass is an ideal solution for the most popular attractions, Walt Disney World also uses more traditional methods of reducing long waits. During peak times, staffing is increased, adding more cast members and support staff to the park. Wait times are posted, so guests are fully informed before they enter a line, which helps set their expectations. During peak season, park hours are extended. If one of the parks in the resort reaches capacity, Walt Disney World redirects guests to other parks through signage and verbal communication. The tactic that differentiates Walt Disney World from other parks is the entertainment they provide to those waiting in line.
Pre-show entertainment has become an important part of our guest experience over the years. It actually does a number of things. One, it builds up anticipation and excitement for the actual attraction or show that they're waiting for, but also it gives them, again, something to do while they're in line besides staring at their watch or just focusing on the fact that they're waiting. So it really does accomplish a lot for us, and it's something we try to utilize in most of our attractions.
Queues come with the territory in an event-based business. Walt Disney World has spent decades researching how to minimize lines and maximize customer satisfaction. Their engineers have served as federal consultants and teach seminars on how to minimize the wait.
I think we're seeing almost a cultural shift over time in that for years in the theme park industry we've conditioned guests that a major part of the experience was standing in line, and now we've tried to change that expectation, and it will take time, but as more and more guests experience FastPass and what other theme park operators provide in something similar, we're seeing guests now come to the park with an expectation that they don't have to wait in line as much. So it really is a fundamental change in the whole theme park experience.